Awesome. So good morning, you guys. It is Tuesday morning, October 24th. We're heading into the last home stretch of October here. Halloween's coming up, fun stuff on Friday. And and I am just really, really excited to be here for this mastermind. We do these masterminds every Monday through Thursday at this time. And this morning we have a special treat. We have a very, very powerful fairly new member of our team, Nome McBride. He is going to be breaking down more of the product space, the product information, the product experience that we all have, and creating an opportunity for us to all share on that. Nome is extremely, extremely knowledgeable, and he has devoted much of his life to being to plants, to working with plants, to being in relationship with plants, and to creating and developing the relationships between humans and plants and being a bridge in that way. So Noam, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to hear your shares today, and thanks everyone for being on the mastermind.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. And good morning, everyone. So nice to see everybody here. This is great. Tuesday morning. Okay. So nice. So many of you may have caught last week, and we were talking about products, and we're going to continue on the same train of thought this week on products in general, looking at it from a little bit of another perspective, and then still sharing here eventually more about our specific product stories, successes, tips, etc. So we're looking, I have so many great things to share, but I'm going to try to stay on topic today of products. And I want to continue looking at this idea of how do we utilize all the products that are available to not only as we're growing customers and also sharing with new brand partners, growing those out, how do we grow each customer more deep into products, and why would we want to do that, and why is that important to do for their own journey, not just so that we can get into the 1K, 2K, 3K club is cool, but how do we really see the value and understand even more where these products fit in to each person's individual healing journey. So along these lines, let me just check one thing here. And so we're going to look at something today that I call the food drug continuum. And this is an idea that I want to go over briefly. You can get onto my personal page, my Gnome Zone video series on my Facebook page if you want to see like an hour and a half long rendition just about the food drug continuum, really in detail, breaking down every point. But I want to give us just today an overview so that we can get an idea how this might apply, and it'll just give us something to think about related to products and superfoods and diet and lifestyle and balance and imbalance and all these types of things. And this is a really nice way, especially, I'm not sure that this may be too much explaining for you to use as like a way to explain to someone why they would want superfoods. But if you're able to get into a longer conversation with someone, this is a really clear, just easy to see way for people to understand what we're talking about. And some people say, well, what are superfoods? Anyway, superfoods, I don't know. Sometimes I say to people when I'm trying to give them a coupon, hey, are you into superfoods? They have no idea what I'm talking about. So what are superfoods? Usually I don't explain this until we get there in the diagram, but let me just go ahead and explain it today at the beginning. To me, superfoods, if we try to define them, they are foods, plants that we eat that have the strength of herbs, almost like a medicine, but are as safe as food, and you can eat in the quantities that you would eat in food. So they're as safe as food, but as strong as medicine. So like herbs are as strong as medicine, as safe as strong as herbs, but some of them you can't take every day. You can't eat them in the quantities you would eat food. They're not like a food. Some foods you can eat unending amounts, but they're not really that strong for you. Like potatoes, you can eat them forever, but they're not necessarily as so strong for you that they're like a medicine. So superfoods are things that are so safe we can eat them all the time. And the more of them we eat, the better they get for us, no matter how much it is. And the only limit to how much of them we could take is our own desire to eat more of them. But as far as safety-wise, you can just keep taking more and more and more. The more you take, the better you get. There's no end to the limit. Foods, of course, are things that, so superfoods we can take tons of. Foods we cannot take. Foods, sorry, something happened there. Foods we can just eat, but they may not necessarily be making us better and better and better. They just fill us up and up and up. Okay? So superfoods are kind of this perfect balance of the best of everything we want and not a lot of what we don't want. Okay, so let's go over this food drug continuum idea. So here I have nothing. This is what we're going to start with. Okay, this is life before we existed. Okay, and now we're going to make the continuum here. Let's see. So here we go. We're going to do a little bit of art today, which we'll see how that goes. So here we go. Now, what we have here is the food drug continuum without anything on it. We've got, oh, it's backwards, isn't it? But we've got health in the middle is the balance. And then here is the continuum. And just imagine this is a teeter-totter for a minute, okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put some things on here. Okay, so over here on this end, I'm going to try to write backwards. I don't know if it's going to work or not. We've got junk. Look at that. I think I did it. Junk food. That is pretty cool. That was super hard. Junk food, candy, artificial flavorings, artificial ingredients, artificial colors, all these things that are not actually have any nutritional value, many of which are known to cause deadly diseases and cancers, but people are still consuming them anyway. Okay, moving on. Next is we got, let's say like genetically modified food, preserved food. Okay, so we got genetically modified food, preserved food. So it's closer to like a meal, but what's in it is really the ingredients are compromised. Okay. By the way, I don't write like a kindergartner, only when I write backwards. Okay. When I write forwards, it's even less legible. Now, it's still backwards. Really? Oh, well, maybe it's forwards. Let me write this one forwards then. Okay. And then next, we have a bigger section. Dun, dun, dun. Next, we have, let's just write this one right. Let's call this whole, well, it's not the grocery store, but we're just going to call it Whole Foods. One ingredient foods. So this is where like you go and it says tomato sauce, ingredients, tomatoes. Is that forwards? Because that's actually forwards for me. Anyway, you see that? Whole Foods, one ingredient. Okay, so that would be the next thing over. Okay, so this is like plants. This is things that have existed from nature's creation, with or without us knowing or caring about them. Okay, I'll do it forward then. Great. Oh, it's not inverted on Zoom, only on Facebook Live. Well, that was genius. Just another reason why Zoom is even better. I don't have to write backwards. Okay, so one ingredient. Now that would be ideal if we can make our meals out of one ingredient components. So like, look, I have this whole thing and everything in it came with only one ingredient, which you will find is generally going to be from the plant or could be animal that it came from. It would be hard to get a single ingredient food item from something else. Okay, next, really exciting in the middle is superfoods. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so there's superfoods in the middle. over the fulcrum of this teeter-totter, notice, of health, right in the middle. Superfoods. Awesome. Okay, I'm just going to outline extra special health in the middle so we can just keep it absolutely blatantly clear that the middle is the balance of the teeter-totter with a little red embellishment. Here we go. Okay, there we go. Next is herbs. Okay, so here we go. Next is herbs. And to me, herbs are things that are too strong to be taken as food daily. Maybe ginseng is like a great example. It's an herb, it's safe, it's a plant. You can't eat a whole plate of ginseng. It's just too strong. Even holy basil. If you make pesto out of pure holy basil instead of just regular basil, it's just too strong. Even though I love holy basil, you just can't eat it. It just burns your mouth. Calendula, it's full of resin. It's a great medicine, right? But it's too strong to eat as food. You can have a few of the petals here and there, but you can't eat a whole plate of it. Your mouth will be too sticky. You just can't do it. It burns your mouth. So herbs are something that's gone beyond the level of a food at all, and they're used more as a medicinal action, okay? Starting to become more and more specific in what they do. Okay, then we've got what I will call low dose herbs / drugs / homeopathic. Okay. So from these herbs, if you make an extract, then you actually begin to make the use more specific. The use becomes less safe. The use moves more into the realm of a medicine further away from food. Low dose herbs are like arnica and aconite and belladonna and things like this, where you just use a tiny little bit, and more would be poisonous. Drugs, I'd like to put that here because most people just don't know, but drug is Latin for to dry, as in dried plants, referring to the time when they first harvested plants fresh and realized that a pound of herbs does this much stuff, but that a pound of dried herbs is worth 10 pounds of fresh herbs when all the water evaporates. So a pound of dried herbs has a much different activity than a pound of fresh herbs. It's 10 times stronger usually because of the lack of water. So it has a new action, a stronger action. That was what was called a drug-like action, okay? And then homeopathics have and also a stronger action, even though they actually have less and less of the herbs in them. So that's really was a great way to use medicine. The less of it that's in there, the stronger of it is, and the more they charge you. That was genius. Okay, but that's not the focus of this talk. And then after that, we have pharmaceuticals. Okay, to me, pharmaceuticals are not drugs. Drugs means literally to dry, as in a plant. So there's no plants in them. They're definitely not drugs. They're pharmaceuticals. They're just synthetic ingredients, chemicals that do things in a medicinal state. Okay, low dose herbs tend to have concentrations of some of the molecules from herbs. Pharmaceuticals are made from concentrations or isolations of 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of the chemicals from a low dose herb. So 80% of the pharmaceuticals made come from a plant still. They're directly synthesized molecules of a plant. FYI, 80% of those 80% are plants from the Amazon jungle. Yet another reason we should save the earth, because the earth is holding all the mysteries to our problems. Now, what does this mean? So check it out. If this is a teeter-totter, okay, I'm just going to hold it in front of me. If this is a teeter-totter, and in the middle is health, okay, you can see how that when the teeter-totter stays level, when things are in balance, the teeter-totter will stay level. If either end of this teeter-totter were to hit the ground, that would be the end of your existence in this model. Okay, so the goal here is to keep your teeter-totter from hitting the ground ever in your life. If one end or the other gets super close, that would represent imbalance here at the extremes versus balance in the middle, and that would be a state of disease. Okay, so you can lay over this another teeter-totter with balance in the middle and imbalance at either end. So here's the thing, excuse me, oh my goodness. So if you eat junk food, what would you have to do to keep your teeter-totter balanced? Could you just stand on superfood? It's like, no, not really, because all the weight is still over here and this side's going to hit the ground, right? So if you're eating here, you're going to have to probably at some point, you're going to work yourself into a health situation where you're going to need a very more extreme medicine, or this end is going to hit the ground. Okay. You know, working back towards this way, you can start to work your diet in this way, right? So that everybody can see here how a teeter-totter works. And the goal for me is to work people one step at a time into the middle. If you just jump to the middle, what happens is this side, boom, it hits the ground right when you jump. You can't do that. You can't go further than you can really go. This process of healing is only going to be one step by one step. Okay. And so just to keep bringing it back here, we're going to look at these additional products we have in addition to the core threes in the 10 days, and how can, and even the 10-day transformation, how do we use these in a cycle with people to start to hook them on an inward progression, so that instead of going further out and out and out, getting lost out here in the extremities, how do we bring people back into balance? How do we start to use the additional products to bring people back in? Okay. And so we all do our best to just continue to eat the whole food, single ingredient foods. And I want to point out that, you know, agriculture and these things are new in the last hundreds and thousands of years, but way, way back, people foraged for leaves and berries and roots. And the only thing that was possible to eat were all superfoods, very nutrient dense foods. And they would eat a very small quantity of them, yet the quantity of vitamins was much, much higher than any of the grown food that we produce today. Sometimes due to a lack of water, sometimes due to harsher elemental environmental factors, but always the superfoods tend to be much stronger than regular agriculturally produced foods. Okay, so just take that in for a second. The food drug continuum. So what I really see for us is that, you know, we can start to see that, well, if I had a diet of 100% superfoods, that would simply be right over the fulcrum, right? So if I actually ate nothing but Purium all day, I would be living on the fulcrum, and I might realize that I don't even crave some of this stuff like I used to or whatever, right? In here. And if I am just eating all in this area, what will happen is that I'm not going to find the need for this many things. I'm not going to find the need for this many things. These things can be life-threatening if you're using these things. These things can be very expensive. And so also, if you looked at this as far as money, if you spend very little on groceries, you spend a lot on healthcare. If you spend a medium amount on groceries, you spend a medium amount on healthcare. And if you spend much less than you would have spent on little and a lot here on just eating really well in the first place, you'll spend nothing on healthcare because you'll already be there by maintaining your body's ability to live at the same health that it was at the day you were born. It's only made of what you put into it continually. And every 7 years, our liver changes every cell in our body. So even if you're in the worst possible health imaginable, if you can just stay well for 7 years, by 7 years from now, you'll be completely new, as though the old you has never existed, and your body has the chance to do it all over again in a more balanced way. Okay, so I think we can all see how the core three is superfoods, and they're going to help keep us in balance. But for a lot of people, especially people that we may be talking to as customers, they are probably dealing with other health issues. Their diet may not be as clean. They may be wanting it to be, but it's all a progression, and we just need to support people with more love more often to do better today than they did yesterday and keep moving in the right direction. And everybody starts somewhere. So there's no, there's no fault in if all you eat is candy bars. I'm still into helping you, but it's going to be a longer journey. So you're going to have more commitment. But if you're especially if someone's way out here, just eating right in here is not necessarily going to be enough power at the beginning to get them all the way back. It will eventually. But what I was seeing in my thought process this week was I was thinking, we can get people going on the core 3, and then we can tell them later, hey, once you get going on this, then you can add some stuff in and this and that. And that's good if that's the way that they want to roll, if that's the rate at which they're ready for. But really, herbally, I'm thinking if people, if money is not an issue and their ability to want to take supplements and do well for their health is not an issue, that for a lot of people to do a little bit more upfront, to kind of rope in those extremities to make sure that nothing gets left behind way out far, and then we're moving into balance, but there was that one little bad habit that we never corrected that still now it's like out there jumping on the end of the teeter-totter the whole time, just waiting for its chance to hit the ground. We can use some of these additional products, the Revivadols, especially in the anti-aging line. I see this as critical, the joint the joint products, I think it's called the Renew, whatever it is for each modality, using some of these other products are going to be really good to put more acceleration on the body's ability to heal, so that the core 3 is supporting. Potentially the 10-day is helping to eliminate a lot of waste that's in the way, so that the core 3 can actually get into the cells. But the core 3 and the nutrition and even what we eat is going to be bottlenecked around A, can we even digest it? So the biomedic. And then B, do we have a very deficient body system that's going to actually hold back the rest of our body, because it's going to want all the energy from everything to try to fix it. And so what we can do is add on a product that specifically targets that body system or two, so that those products are taking care of that. And it allows the core 3 to actually nourish the whole body, the whole being, so that it can really do its magic on the totality, right? So kind of dividing up the workforce between all the products and the herbs, and also just working more smart with the products we have available to be able to actually go in and give the body all the support it needs in different ways. Because it might need just to hold your hand to walk, but the Revivadol is like the cane in the other hand, so that you're not holding that whole person up with just one hand as the core 3, right? And then what's going to happen is they're going to see more effect more quickly with better results. And eventually, some of the more symptomatic acute things, they may be like, I don't need this after a while, and that's fine. They can progress on to other products. But versus waiting for who knows when to start some of these other products, the heart of what I'm getting at right now is, let's just get, the more we know about what they are, the better. Obviously, if we have no idea what they are, it's going to be hard to recommend them. But as we are learning about what they are, as we become more familiar, developing some terminology around getting them to people right off the bat when they're enrolling, when they're signing up as a customer, in their first core 3. Yeah, you're going to get a core 3. Well, is there any other body system you're really wanting to improve right now? Is there any other part of your health you really want to accelerate right now? What in your health are you wanting to up level at this time? How much are you willing to put into your health this month? Would you be willing to look into another product specific to you besides the core 3? If anybody has any other really good little one-liners, type them in the comments. But these are things I can say to people once they know they're going to get a core 3, when we're trying to discover together what products could be specifically even better for them, that's going to get them the most out of it. Well, you're already spending $150, so for $40 more, this is going to make everything you're doing super more worth it, because it's going to direct it right to that body system. There's a number of ways you can approach it depending on how they are feeling with their upcoming new journey. Okay, so food drug continuum. Let's let that unpack for a second here. So we got balance in the middle. We have imbalance on the edges. You definitely don't want the edges to hit the ground. I'm looking on the notes to see what else I'm supposed to say here, because even though I made them, I can't always remember myself. Now, let's see. Dun, dun, dun. I think that we want to go over Right. Okay. So what I see is that when someone is out here, we're using these other products especially to either help them get out of this side, working towards the middle, okay? And it's like poison to food to superfood to medicine is kind of the progression I see here, okay? And we're helping them either come up out of the poison, essentially, as harsh as that may sound. You're either eating things that are good for you, they're medicine and they're healing, or they're not good for you, and the bottom line is your body sees them as toxic. So that's the reality. So we're moving people out of that toxic state, or if they're already doing well, we're helping them eat more evenly, more balanced, and accelerating their body's potential so that the capacity of the body not only comes to balance. Once the body comes to balance, there's two things that you must do. You must maintain the balance, which is what the core 3 is perfect for, and seasonal resets with the 10-day are perfect for. And then the other thing that you can do, if the balance is maintained and you continue to add vitamins and nutrients and all the essentials, is that the capacity of the body will grow. You will get more muscle, your mind will become sharper, your rest will become deeper, your recovery from illness or injury will be faster, your flexibility will enhance both mentally, emotionally, and physically. In all realms, you will begin to expand your capacity and your vital life force. And that will be a side effect of maintaining the balance for an extended period of time. To get to the balance, which we maintain eating the superfoods over and over as a primary staple of our diet, we're going to use the other herbs that may not be as safe as food to take in unlimited amounts forever, but are going to have a much stronger action like a medicine until we get back to that place of balance. Okay, so is that making sense for everybody? Food drug continuum. This was I think this is actually a much older topic from an MD who taught one of my herbal teachers who taught me. So I can't take full credit for the food drug continuum idea, although I have been developing it extensively more in the past few years, I will say. What else can we say about that? So you can see here that, just one last recap on this, and then let's open up and share a little more. Superfoods is in the middle between one ingredient foods, also known as plants, or the parts of them, and then herbs, also known as plants or the parts of them. But these are ones that you can eat unlimited amounts of with some nutrition. These are ones that you may not really be able to eat an unlimited amount of, only use more medicine. And so superfoods are in the middle. They have the power of herbs, but the safety of foods. This is great. Okay, nice. Don't let either end of your teeter-totter hit the ground. That's super bad news. And you know, we started when we were born in the middle. So it took our life to walk out to the edge or wherever. But you got there somehow. There's always a trail back from no matter how far out on the edge you've got. Some people have gone out with their power drill and they have, you know, erected like a swing set to eternity off the end of the junk food end and use more and more drugs to keep them there. But I believe that even though that's so far out, there's always a way to follow the trail, and there's always just enough light in the darkness that you follow the light back to the way, and you always can get anything done from anywhere with enough concentration. And the herbs are going to be our guides to find that way. They train the body, they open the body, they teach the body, and they have a map for the body to heal itself just like it wants to, all on its own. But if they don't have enough energy, enough power, enough nutrients, then the herbs are going to give them the extra tools and the extra energy the body needs to expend to get it done, as well as point the body in the right direction so that things are moving in the correct way. The herbs never heal. You know, I'm an expert on herbs or whatever, but I can tell you for sure, my expert advice is that no herb has ever or will ever cured or healed anyone. Only the body heals itself. Just like I think David Sandoval says about the 10-day. It's like the herbs don't do it. We don't just kill all the parasites. But what happens is the body gets enough support, enough vitamins, enough minerals, and a map to point it in the exact right direction that it needs to go. And then the body is supported, knowing that it has all that it needs so that it's free to use its own resources to do the healing that it wants to do for itself. And the body will correct, the body will heal itself, the body will bring itself into balance if it's in an environment where it feels supported and safe to do so. These products are going to create that environment. The core 3 is going to continue that environment. And through continued maintenance of that balanced environment, we're going to be able to accelerate ourselves into vitality and flexibility and recovery and health like we have not yet attained, no matter what level we are currently at. So this is my idea about the food drug continuum. And now I think what I want to do is, if anybody has any comments or questions directly about the food drug continuum and this idea that's kind of just blowing your mind or anything, let's just give a minute to hear about those. And then we're going to kind of move on to sort of what we were finishing with last week. And I just, I'm newer here, so I'm really familiar with lots of herbs. And I know about a lot of the herbs and most of the products. But I would really like to rather hear about especially, product successes and whether it's your own success or someone that you're working with or someone that you have been, hearing about or watching for a while, especially on other products, not the core 3 and not the 10-day, ones that we can all learn more about on this call to add in to our customers when we're dialoguing with them. And they obviously need more than a core 3. How do we kind of break that ice, and what are some of the things they could be interested in, and how do we get them to see the value in going ahead and doing a couple other things along with that core 3, and just coming out of the gates, blasting right on it, on how that in the long run is going to get them so much further ahead than waiting for someday, one day, I don't know. One day is just today. Last week, one day is now today. So, how far away is someday to you? I don't know. Let's just start right now, right? So, all right. Anything to say about this idea of the food drug continuum?
Yes, I love this. Thank you so much, Nome. I'm so grateful. This is so simple to have this visual, and for everyone out there who's a visual learner, really supportive. Thank you very much. I jumped on a little late, so if this is redundant, I don't want to be, but question about if there's like a simple way. Of course, we always refer to the doctor if there's any medications being taken that might be contraindicated. But in your view, just in a quick nutshell, when approaching with the core 3, I heard you say something about, and maybe I'm wrong, about you can't take, there's no amount of superfoods that you can really take too much of. Did I hear that correctly?
To me, superfoods are, they are as safe as food and as powerful as herbs, or as powerful as herbs and as safe as food. So herbs are, for me, automatically classify it as you can't take it every day. For some reason, it's too much. Ginseng, if I eat a little piece of ginseng, I feel like I had 10 lattes or something, like pure on its own, just all by itself. If I ate a whole plate of it, I don't know what would happen to me, So that's definitely an herb. Potatoes are definitely a food. I can eat them and fill up, but they don't really, they're not too strong for me. I just might get full of them. But superfoods have the power and the minerals and the ability to heal of herbs, but they have the safety of food. So for me, to be a true superfood, yes, it must be something that can be consumable on and on and on. The core 3 are greens, and most of the products we have are superfoods. But some of these products I might consider more like herbs. Some of the capsules, the Revivitals, that have stronger plants in them that are more specifically directed to one body system, those are moving into the category of herbs.
So my question in regards to someone on medication, and maybe it's taking them a minute to get to their doctor, and we're wanting to present this and bring it forward. In your opinion, is it safe for most people who are on pharmaceuticals?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good question. So, and a lot of people are on pharmaceuticals, and they are over here on the end, right? And so the best thing we can do is get them to move one step closer, and then get them to move one step closer here to the herbs we have, and then get them to move one step closer here to the superfoods later. But versus jumping to the middle, we get them to move one into the middle, right? Get them to move back one into the middle. That might take a year. But the point is that they're moving in the right direction. At some point, just get them going the right way. Turn them around, slap them on the butt. Like that way, you know, that's the way to go. Set them off in the right direction, like a horse in the desert. You know, they may not like it, but at least they're going to the water. And I have, from what I've looked at, Allison, in the products, it seems to me that basically every product we have is going to be safe, even if someone's on pharmaceuticals. There's a couple of herbs in the herbal industry that are not necessarily safe with pharmaceuticals. One of them is kava. Could be dangerous. Generally not, but could be. The details of that are too specific out of the scope of this Zoom call. The other one would be St. John's wort. Could be, but I don't think we have St. John's wort. Herbs and nutraceuticals. Yeah, you could definitely put herbs and nutraceuticals in there. To me, nutraceuticals might even be, we have herbs and then we have low dose. Nutraceuticals could be not quite drugs and homeopathic, but they're kind of like, they bridge this gap from herbs to low dose herbs, drugs, homeopathic. Nutraceuticals could even be in there. They're slightly more advanced than a whole herb, but they're right around this juncture, definitely in the same category. And what we have at Purium is some of these things are in that nutraceutical category, which are going to be even better for people way out on pharmaceuticals to go nutraceuticals, then to go herbs, then to go superfoods. So it even makes the progression even better. So great comment, Madalena. But the third thing, we've got kava, St. John's wort, and then hawthorn. Hawthorn is in the heart product. Hawthorn has cardiac glycosides that can potentiate heart drugs, the statin heart drugs that most people who have had a heart attack are now on. A large amount of hawthorn, berry or flower or leaf or any part of it, has very similar compounds that do the same things, and they actually work so well that they can actually make the pharmaceutical drugs, it potentiates them so a dose can be more than a dose, which could be, kava's and relaxed capsules, could be more than they want of their pharmaceutical. So if someone has had a heart attack and they're on statin drugs or they're on statin heart drugs and they want to take the heart medication, the heart product, it's probably fine. But that would be one I would say to consult with their doctor first and to start with a lower dose and monitor their blood pressure while they take it and see how it goes. The other herbs in it are going to be super good. But I think I would recommend they do that under the supervision of their prescribing MD.
I'd love to jump in here really quickly, Nome, and just say that that like if anybody that you're working with has any kind of is on any pharmaceuticals at all, we always recommend to consult with their doctor, just because you know, especially if they have any kind of serious things. Like there are certain things, like for example, severe kidney disease, they don't want to be taking the power shake because it can't. So that it's, you know, we are not doctors. We are providing support through nutrition and some herbs. But if anyone that you're working with has a history of health issues or is taking any pharmaceuticals and you're concerned, or they're concerned, we always just err on the side of caution and ask them, just take this to your doctor, take this ingredient list. You know, another thing is like antidepressants. When people who are on a lot of antidepressants take the aminos, it can change the balance of what they're needing. So I've seen a lot of people reduce or get off of antidepressants when taking these products, but it's important that the doctor knows, knows that they're doing this regimen. They might not care, and it's very rare that they're going to tell them not to do it. But just to have that communication, if someone is taking a lot of pharmaceuticals, to bring it in, you know, that's what I have, you know, that's the approach that we take as a community.
Yeah, genius. That's definitely, we could go into the details of everything, but I think that the bottom line is yes, if there's any question, you always send them to the doctor, because then you can't get into some other territory you didn't want to go to. Always refer back to the doctor. So we've had a few things addressed here: antidepressants, heart medications, liver, kidney, thyroid, potentially serious glandular endocrine deficiencies, Crohn's, or any kind of cancer. And the way that, to me, we can relate this again back to here is that if you have somebody out here on the ends and you make a change, it's not very forgiving. Like if you dump a big 10-pound weight on the end, it's gonna be like, it could go all the way down and hit the ground, right? And so you have to make your changes smaller, more gradual, more intentional, and more carefully when you're working with someone out on these farther out extremities. Someone here who's living mostly in the middle, who doesn't have any really big presenting health symptoms, who's not on any medications, they can do all kinds of stuff. And no matter which side of this thing they're on, even if you put 20 pounds right here, it's not going to be enough pressure to bring this end down to the ground. So it's a lot more forgiving the closer someone starts to the middle. The closer someone is to one of the ends, the less forgiving it will be, potentially more reactive in their body. And so I think, especially if they're on other medications, working with the doctor, you've got to work in collaboration with that, putting that in the hands of their prescribing doctor. That's not something we want to mess with. We're not doctors. We're not prescribing. We're not diagnosing. We're not curing anything. We're just helping people maintain and create vitality in their body with adding more nutrients and essential vitamins into their diet. So that is kind of two different worlds. We've also got the naturopath on staff. We've also have lots of doctors in our teams. Always refer to doctors, of course.
And I also just wanted to come really quickly into this and make sure, because there was a question about, well, do we put this information out there? And, there is a very strict line in the sand with the FDA and with the government around what kinds of claims, what kinds of ways we can talk about what we do. And it's really important that no distributor or the company or on any level ever say any kind of medical claim about what we're doing, because it can put us in a very vulnerable position. So just, it's with all of these things about, I'm getting my hair braided right here, with all of these questions in this whole conversation regarding pharmaceuticals, doctors, curing, we keep it, that's why one of the reasons that we always just defer to the medical profession. That is their job. They're the ones who diagnose, who treat, who heal, and we are the ones who are supporting people nutritionally to help their body get into homeostasis, and we don't provide deep information in regards to like any of those things. So we, it's just best to in their category and keep ourselves in our very safe and powerful category of support in this way.
Yeah, and so even this, while we're on the food and drugs here, the FDA is broken into two divisions, the food division and the drugs division, just FYI. Okay, and supplements, what we have, dietary supplements, used to be in the food division until 2010, and they were only regulated like foods. They only had to be produced in an environment like a food handling environment, and they did not have any really manufacturing checks and balances more than a food product would. And that's one reason there had been able to be a number of illegitimate herbal products in the marketplace. So since then, they changed, and now supplements are regulated under the other category. They switched it from food to the drug side. So since 2010, supplements must be manufactured in an environment which is called GMP, good manufacturing, with good manufacturing practices, equivalent to the exact same standards used for pharmaceuticals. And so it elevated the quality and the consistency and everything needed to produce a supplement legal for the market over to the higher regulatory status of that of drugs. What that also did was that also made it more imperative that, because until something is proven by and approved and accepted by the FDA to have a specific action, tested and proven, you cannot ever say it does that, it cures that. That's why all the products say it may be good for this or that. It might be useful for this type of thing. Because unless it's been proven and approved by the FDA, you can't say it actually does it. Which now the products are manufactured on a much higher level because of these regulations. And the new facility has already been GMP compliant approved, which is awesome. Really cool that we're moving into. But you still can't claim they do more. So just so we know that, we have to be very careful about that terminology. We don't want to tell someone, well, yeah, Purium cured cancer in this lady. No, it really didn't. And you definitely should not say that. You can say there's a lady who had cancer and she cured herself through all kinds of modalities, and she also was taking Purium at the same time. I'm sure it aided in her process, but you can't attribute directly these products to any curative function. Okay, so let's get a couple more. We started like 5 minutes after a little bit, but we got definitely time for some shares on some products. Who has got a product they would love to share about? And I see a couple more questions.
Yeah, I've got one, Nome. If
Hey, Juan.
if I jump in. Hello. What wonderful share, by the way. One quick insight, and I guess it's pretty obvious, but to state the obvious, if someone's on one end of the spectrum, they're more than likely also on the other one, right? So if they're eating junk food, they're on the pharmaceuticals, etc. Right?
You have to be to keep the balance, or the one end will hit the end.
And start buying organic food and stop buying the junk food, or touching into supplements and not herbal supplements and not the pharmaceuticals, etc. So I think that's something that was pretty fascinating about your description there. For me, one thing that was really great was the aloe, the 40X aloe, to really soothe my digestion. My biggest complaint was intestinal. I'm really getting how the Biomedic seems to be like a great add-on to anybody who's looking to lose weight, because so much of it is related to gut flora, right, and gut issues. And it seems that, I like to just dig into the why people have the illnesses they do, and it seems almost everyone that I've gone down rabbit holes are leading to systemic inflammation and intestinal permeability as being like pretty common across all the board for all of these, including my case, the diabetes, the high cholesterol, et cetera, all the metabolic issues that I've suffered with. I'm noticing massive difference with the Biomedic in terms of elimination. So, Biomedic seems to be one that I'm really quite happy and comfortable recommending to just about everybody because of the threats in our environment. Aloe, for anyone who's dealing with, acid reflux, intestinal issues like that, kind of the acute stuff that comes on. For me, that's been a really soothing thing and seems to be neutral enough that won't really hurt somebody. I may be wrong about it. But I'm wondering what you would recommend specifically for people who are dealing with systemic inflammation to really jumpstart them towards the center point. I know our tart cherry is very powerful at cutting through inflammation. Core 3 by itself is pretty darn awesome. But if we really wanted to jumpstart it for somebody, what would you recommend?
Right. Well, A, I love your rose-colored shirt. I wish I had that. B, just to address this again, it's like you're exactly right. If this is the food, you by default must use this to keep the balance. It's not a choice. It's just the reality of the weight system. And you're going to say, this guy's going to say to this guy, hey, I will trust you and I will agree to step in one step if you step in one step. And he'll say, okay, we did it. We're still in balance. And then you say, hey, I'll agree to step in one step if you step in one step. And then it's like, okay, and then it's in balance. So you have to keep stepping in one step, one step, one step until you get to the middle. That's right. There's really no other way to do it. It's one step, one step, one step until everything works in. But to keep the balance, you must have something equal on the other side, all the way to the middle. I think the aloe is great, and we haven't heard much about it. And what I see almost more than anything is that people are dry. People are super dry. Dry lips, dry eyelids, dry mouth, feels like the corner of your toast is cutting you when it goes down. Everything's dry. Dry hands, dry skin, dry. If we have more hydration, it's going to really help. Adding mucilages into the body. Is there a PDF of that balance chart anywhere? Not really, but maybe I'll make one. The aloe, I love aloe. Aloe's got ingredients in it that are known to be anti-carcinogenic, anti-cancerous, antioxidant. Aloe is a very, very strong plant, very strong medicine. Aloe is a food. It's a superfood of the finest level. You can take it in any amount. It's only going to help you. I don't see any reason anyone can have a problem with aloe ever. Internally, externally, period. Aloe is great. Juan, can you actually come back on and tell us, is there a specific way you like to take the aloe, or do you have a few ways that you actually take the product?
I like this
last night was I made popcorn, and I was like, I should have put Power Shake on the popcorn. And I was thinking, there's not only are there so many other products, but there's so many ways we can give people little ways to use them. Like, can you just download us on some of your favorite ways to use the aloe?
It's growing on me, so I'm able to like hold it in my mouth. Normally, I put a teaspoon or so into a swig of water that I can just slam.
You just slam it.
I don't linger with it. That's how I started with it, but it's got a certain saltiness to it. So just from a flavor profile, I would say it's more on the savory side. So if you're going to add it to something, I wouldn't add it to a fruit smoothie. That's just me.
Okay. Nice. Now your shirt looks more red, so maybe I was off, but in any case. Yeah, mucilage is what's in these plants. And what happens when mucilage goes in the body is that it doesn't even have to touch the physical tissues in the body. The medicinal action of mucilage is that it actually stimulates the body into a reflex action. So when you take it, your body receives it and feels that it's getting mucus and moisture, which is going to help it. And so the body decides it wants to also be part of this activity, and it creates more mucus, and it stimulates by a reflex action chemically through your body everywhere that needs more mucus. Your lungs, if they're dry and they're harsh, your intestines, your lips, your mouth, your everything. It will actually make you, it's not quite like sweating inside. That's a different medicinal action, but it actually would stimulate everything to wetten and let some mucus out and to moisten itself with all the available moisture. So you got to add moisture that it has it to begin with, but it will stimulate every part of the body, the colon, the intestines, to all secrete more moisture. And that additional moisture is going to provide a lot of healing for the body. It's going to provide a platform for the cells to be safe in, for them to do their work. Aloe. Okay, how about another? Yeah, other mucilages, marshmallow root. I mean, I'm just trying to stay on Purium products, but a lot of people, I tell them that marshmallow root in their water is the cheapest way to probably get mucilage, but that's not going to be helping us get into the 1K club. So, I would tell them aloe. But, if someone has no money and they're not going to buy aloe, then yeah, you want to tell them to use marshmallow root is the cheapest thing you can do. And you put the roots in your cold water. Mucilages are extracted in cold water, not hot water. And then you drink it, and it turns into like a slime, and it tastes super good and is more hydrating than water. So aloe water will be more hydrating than the same amount of regular water. Flax, okra, oats, if you've ever made oats in cold water the night before, all these kind of things. What's in the Power Shake? Oats. Great. Mucilage is awesome, right? Okay. So there's a lot of mucilage out there. And really, what's the number one side effect of pharmaceuticals? Does anybody know? Type it in if you know.
Dehydration.
Dehydration, exactly. Dry mouth, dry body. So somebody who's on that far end, way out there where things are going to react more and be more dramatic, the thing they need the most is more moisture. Their body almost can't do anything with anything, even if they pump yourself full of Power Shake. If it sits in there like ready-made concrete mix because there's not even any water, you're definitely not going to absorb it. And it's going to be like rough on your intestines going through. You got to add more hydration, more than you need. So I think the aloe could be our next favorite thing after Biomedic. You got to get a Biomedic and an aloe and let it float around in there for a while so it can soak in. We got to remember that water is the conductor. Everything, electricity, nutrients, everything's carried through water, clean water. So if your body has no water, it's going to have a hard time carrying the nutrients around the body to get them where they need to go. It's going to flow in the river of your internal water. The lymph needs water. Everything needs more hydration. Aloe and ionic minerals. Yes, that is why so many people get constipated on the cleanse or even on the Love Shake. They just don't have enough water. And the problem today is that because water is not clean enough and then water is purified or all these other things, that by the time we drink water, even though we drink enough quantity in cups of water, the statistics from the FDA are that 98% of people drink more quantity of water than they needed to a day, but they are still 96% dehydrated. So water is actually just not hydrating enough anymore because of the environmental factors we live in, being alive on this planet in this time. There's not possible to be hydrated almost from regular water. Even if you drink 3 times more in quantity than you're supposed to a day, it's just not possible. So adding something like the aloe, the mucilage, to the water, which is going to make the same amount of water more hydrating, is going to be a genius way, absolutely critical thing, actually, for most of us, especially people on pharmaceuticals, to do so that they can actually, even if they don't take anything else, that's going to help them heal. And if they take the other parts of Purium and the Core 3, they're going to be able to, yeah, Christine, I think the same thing, just get on the mucilage, because even the water is not enough water. It just doesn't have the hydration it used to because of various environmental factors.
What about the ionic elements? You mentioned the ionic elements. Can you just say a brief piece about that? What do you like about those? And
let's let Madalena, do you want to come on and share? Because those are your staples. Let's let Madalena share about them.
Sure. You know, one of the things that I've been noticing about myself and with so many of my clients is that people are incredibly depleted in some of the basic minerals and micronutrients and microminerals. And so having a formula like that with the ionic minerals is basically going to supply, you know, we're talking about so many things from dehydration to anxiety and the, you know, what are some of the foundational things that are affecting people. And so, you know, for me, when I look at the ionic minerals, they're going to approach all of those. So it's going to both help with some levels of dehydration, and then also looking at underlying root causes from both absorption, but also one of the things that I'm seeing is that people get depleted and dehydrated from also the way that they're running their nervous system or the way that they're running their adrenals. So basic electrolytes are going to be supplied through the ionic minerals. I mean, this is actually like a really huge conversation talking about minerals altogether and how that's supplying the body. But on a basic level, that's some of the ways that I approach that. Was that clear?
Mm-hmm. I mean, magnesium is the currency in the body. Everything that happens in your body, every thought you take, every move you make, every single thing that you even thinking about thinking, that just took magnesium. It's the money in your body. You have to spend magnesium to do anything. Where does magnesium come from? Magnesium is the center molecule of the center element in the chlorophyll molecule. It comes from plants. And did you know that the chlorophyll molecule is like, here it is, in the middle of it is magnesium, and hemoglobin, our red blood, is the exact same molecule, but the middle is iron. The same liquid, giving life to plants and animals, with one little thing in the middle different. We must up our magnesium levels. The ionics have got the pure thing there. That's the currency.
Well, I would add one thing to that about magnesium specifically, which is that, you know, this is 20 years ago that I was in training in herb school, that at that point that magnesium was probably the single mineral that was the most efficient in everyone across the board. And that was 20 years ago. So, you know, where that's at now is probably, you know, dramatically more so. So just having people supplement with basic minerals and especially magnesium, people see a dramatic increase in energy, in clarity, in, of course, muscle contraction releasing, so people feel more relaxed. So yeah, magnesium is like key.
Exactly, yeah. All of my herbal teachers have said the bottom line is people must take more magnesium or nothing they do will work. And if they just take magnesium, then in a few months, sometimes everything resolves itself. Because the body had everything else it needed to heal, it just didn't have any money to spend to get it done. It just couldn't do it. It just needed magnesium. So you can take all the other stuff, but if it just doesn't have enough magnesium, it still can't do it. So adding the magnesium. Alexandra, do you want to talk about in like 1 minute ALA carrying minerals and ionic elements out of the body? Alexandra's here at my house visiting today. She's going to talk for like 1 minute, and then we're going to wrap up at 12:05. Here she is.
So what ALA actually does, it's better for people with like diabetes or high cholesterol or anything, and it's going to carry into the nerves to help detox from the nervous system. Does that answer you? Who asked that?
That was Michael.
Michael, is that what you're asking? Okay, cool. Awesome.
All right. Oh, okay. This brings me to something. So I'll close on this. This is a great little thing. I thought of this the other day and I forgot it this whole time. When someone asks you something specifically about a product and you have no idea what they're talking about, like ALA is like, I know what this is, but I would never have said what Alexandra just said. She's a doctor, if you didn't know. What you can say is, well, that's not my area of expertise, but that is so-and-so's, and I'm going to get with them to get right back to you. And what this does is it instills a lot of confidence in them, and it alludes that you have an area of expertise, even if you don't. And hopefully they don't ask you, well, what is your area of expertise? Say, well, it's in redirecting you to think I always have one, even though I never did. But you can say, yeah, that's not quite my area of expertise, but I'm going to wrap up with our naturopath at the team and get back to you. So that's always a great thing to say if someone asks you something really direct and you just have no idea. Don't ever say, no, I have no idea. I don't know. Or say that, but say, I don't know. It's not my area of expertise, and I'm going to get back to you. So I see there's some other questions. We have so much to talk about. I have a feeling we'll need to continue on products episode 3 here, maybe next week or at some point, because we can just keep going. And I think I've gotten a lot out of this, even just remembering how awesome aloe is. So let's wrap it up so we don't go over. And these last couple of questions and things, let's let them marinate for next time. I have a feeling we'll be back to this. And yeah, let's just really encourage the people we're talking to get on it, and show them how, and kind of to recap here, that, it's all a process, and that we want to help them begin to work their way into balance. And that while the core 3 is essential to start anchoring them into the vitality and in the balance point, that these other adjunct products are going to make the transition from here to here more seamless, more graceful, more pleasurable, more efficient, faster generally in time. And they're going to make this, when we get to the middle, they're going to make it sustainable, so that we can actually maintain it more effectively for longer term, which will then allow our bodies to actually evolve and grow into vitality beyond just getting to a place of balance today. And biomedic, hydration, these looks like, really critical things physically that everybody needs. We can talk about the other products maybe next time we're going to talk about, and the ionics, the minerals. So I think this has been good. I see more. Madeleine is, yes, zeolite drops for sure. Will I post a picture of my teeter-totter in the Bliss Ohana? Sure, I will do that. And maybe I'll redraw it slightly nicer first. And yeah. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sarah, for having me. And we'll see you next week. Keep it positive. Keep it real.
Thanks, Nome. That was a great topic. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome call. Thank you, Nome.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Thanks, everybody.